بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا انفعنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Okay. So, Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to sit together, mashallah, and listen to one of the beautiful stories of the Quran. We're going to continue from this part of Sayyidina Yusuf AS story in Surah Yusuf. This is part 8, again, mashallah, which is, I think if we can, I think there are 2 more parts after this. And so, inshallah, we should finish ideally on part 10. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll see. Which I'm really excited about this part. So I really want to get started right away, inshallah. So again, this is like Act 2, right? So we're talking about, again, the first part of it being the part up to Yusuf AS being chosen by the king to take care of the commerce and the economy. And then thereafter is Act 2, where it's Yusuf AS dealing with his brothers again after such a long time. This is scene 3. Scene 1 was when he met his brothers. Scene 2 is when the brothers went back to their father. And this is scene 3 right here. Okay. So we're going to continue, inshallah, from where we left off last time. Sayyidina Yusuf AS, he of course has 2 intentions here. Okay. His first intention is that he wants to save his brother Binyamin. Okay. He wants to save his brother Binyamin. Binyamin has been going through lots of grief. Okay. He has been going through lots of grief and difficulty. And then the second thing that he's going to teach, that he wants to do, is he wants to teach his brothers the ultimate lesson. Okay. And that's a lesson that we'll talk about when it comes up, inshallah. All right. So the act is sent in motion for the brothers now to become students, to learn from Sayyidina Yusuf AS as the proper teacher. Okay. So what do we find? وَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُفَ آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَخَاهُ. That when they entered on Yusuf AS, this is the second time they're coming to Yusuf AS, آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَخَاهُ, that he gave refuge, he gave a lodging to his brother. Okay. قَالَ إِنِّي أَنَا أَخُوكَ فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. They said that, surely I am your brother, so do not grieve for what they have been doing. Okay. Why was Yusuf AS so intent on saving Binyamin? Why was he so careful about saving Binyamin? Okay, so the reason why is because he told him not to grieve, because this must have been extremely hard for Binyamin. Think about it. Just think about it. I told you from last time, it's been at least 25 to 30 years since he has, that Yaqub AS has met Yusuf AS, the brothers have seen Yusuf AS, right? It's been a very long time, okay? So this must have been very hard for Binyamin to know that his brothers had did such a terrible thing, and he probably heard them talking about it, probably heard them bragging about it, probably heard them speaking about it here and there, because it naturally happens, right? Brothers just talk about things. But he can't say anything to his father, because he knows if he says anything, his brothers might do something terrible to him. So he lost his beloved brother Yusuf from before. And then secondly, he couldn't speak to his father, secondly. And then the third thing is what? He had to worry about his other brothers that possibly they'll do the same thing to him. Because he knows his father loves Binyamin. He loves him a lot as well, right? So his brothers, he knows that they might do something against him. So he has a lot of things to worry about. So Yusuf wanted to give him that refuge and care because of that reason. Okay. I want you all to note though, why was it possible that Yusuf could give him a lodging? Okay. It's really interesting to me. If you remember from beforehand, Yaqub alayhi told his sons, don't go through one door, go through multiple doors. Okay. Don't go through one door, go to multiple doors. So this meant a lot of things, not just go through one door when you're entering the area, but also when you're staying together, make sure you're staying separately. Okay. So Yusuf gave them accommodations for two people per room. Okay. And so there was, if you're counting all the brothers, there are 11 brothers, right? So if 2 people are per rooms, there's about 5 rooms, right? So that means 10 rooms are full. 5 rooms are full with 10 people, right? 5 rooms are full with 10 people. There's only one brother left, which is Binyamin. Where is he going to stay? So then he stays with Sayyidina Yusuf AS. So Allah Ta'ala had made when Allah Ta'ala said he tried to plan something, when Yaqub AS tried to plan something, there's only so much he could plan, right? So where did the rest of the planning go? In favor of Yusuf AS here, okay? So that's why Allah Ta'ala said it didn't benefit him, because now the plan needs to be set in motion. But it's to learn the final lesson. Okay. So in any case, we continue. Just give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. everything? Okay, inshallah. All right, so we continue, inshallah. All right. Okay. فلما جهزهم بجهازهم جعل السقاية في رحل أخيه ثم أذن مؤذن أيتها العير إنكم لسارقون. So then when he supplied them, he provided them with their provisions again, right? Because now they have their extra brother. The reason why they came was for their extra brother, for Binyamin. جعل السقاية في رحل أخيه. He placed the bowl or the siqaya, right, which is the cup in which they use for a couple of things. Okay, one of them is that the king would drink from this cup, right? And in the time of this famine, the second thing that it was used for was the second thing that it was used for was to weigh out or to make a measure for the grain that people were supposed to be provided for. Why was this done with the same cup as the king? Because the king wanted to show how important, how respected this food was, so that people would not take advantage of it. That look, the king is using his own cup to make sure that people are getting the right amount of shares, the right measure. Okay, so in any case, so this cup is obviously being used for the king. And the king is Yusuf AS. So Yusuf AS takes his own cup, he places it in the bag of his brother. Keep that in mind. It's not someone else's cup. He's using his own cup for the kingdom of Egypt. Whatever it was, whatever was in the kingdom belongs to the king. So when he places the cup inside the bag of his brother, then an announcer calls out, "Ayyuhatul 'ir, O caravan, you all are thieves. Innakum lasariqun." Okay, so he places his own cup inside the bag of his brother. It was used to measure the grain given out to the people, right? So now the announcer calls out on his own accord. How does this happen? So now when Yusuf places it in the bag and people are ready to get going, right? So now they have the camel loads, whatever they came with. They came with a big caravan of people. They came with a big group of people. They don't travel just alone, right? So now when they're all about to head out, the servants are checking to make sure everything is in the palace, everything's in the right place. So they're looking for the serving cup, they're looking for the measuring tool, and they can't find it, and they're looking around. And some of the scholars have said that it wasn't just a normal cup, of course. It was, if it's to feed a king, it has all this silver and all these adornments on it. It's a very beautiful, sparkling, enjoyable looking cup. It's like the cup that dad has at home, right? Like the father cup that says, "I love dad," that type of cup. It's an important cup. You can't just play around with it. So now the servants are looking around for it. They can't find it. So now they're like, make an announcement that that caravan is about to leave. So the guy gets up onto the minbar and says, or he gets up onto the minaret, and he goes and says, like you hear, "Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah." It says, "Ayyuhatul 'ir innakum lasariqun, ayyuhatul 'ir innakum lasariqun." You guys are thieves, you guys are thieves, you guys are thieves. Okay? He's calling them out. And he's calling them out because he needs to make a strong message before they bounce and they leave. So he does that. قَالُوا أَقْبَلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ مَاذَا تَفْقِدُونَ. So then everyone's about to leave and they turn around and they're coming back. And while they're coming back, they're asking the question, "What are you missing? What are you missing?" Okay? So now the brothers of Yusuf AS are not saying they're thieves. They're saying, "You lost something. We'll help you find it." Okay? They're not going to go and throw themselves under the bus here, right? They're not going to claim that we are that we stole whatever. La ilaha illallah. They don't even know what's happening. So they made sure to defer, and this, you can see their speech is very careful here, right? They make sure not to say anything like "we stole it," right? So they don't say that they stole, rather they said "you lost something." Okay? This is a very, very subtle way, and you can see how much they're still trying to maintain control of the environment and the surroundings. And this is their problem. This is the problem here, is that they always want to make sure they're in control. They always want to make sure they're in control. They want to make sure they can control their dad. They want to control the amount of grain that they receive. They want to control this. They want to control that. They want control over the entire situation, which is what a person of jealousy definitely wants. They don't like that people have stuff, right? They want to have stuff. They want to have everything for themselves, okay? So they don't say they stole. They're still trying to maintain the control here. قالوا نفقد صواع الملك ولمن جاء به حمل بعير وأنا به زعيم. So now the servants of Yusuf alayhi salam go and say, we're missing the measuring bowl of the king, and whoever brings it back shall deserve a camel load, and I stand surety for it. So they said, we're responsible for it. In other words, they said that if you can even bring back the cup for us, then we'll give you another camel load. Okay? So now you can imagine that, okay, so now first of all, brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam are thinking, we didn't steal anything. Secondly, wow, if we actually find it, we'll get another camel load. All right, even more bank for us, right? That's more food for us. I'll have some more cereal in the morning, right? That's what they're feeling. So they go and they try to investigate. So then what did they say? قالوا تالله لقد علمت ما جئنا لنفسد في الأرض ما كنا سارقين. They're so proud. They're so like, you can feel the boastfulness of them. Saying, Tallahi, we swear by Allah. I told you that Tallah is the biggest type of Wallahi you can take. They took the super Wallahi. They said, super Wallahi, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمْ, you all know, مَا جِئْنَا, we didn't come لِنُفْسِدَ فِي الْأَرْضِ, we didn't come to cause corruption on the earth. وَمَا كُنَّا سَارِقِينَ, we didn't come to cause mischief in the lands, and we have never ever been thieves. They said وَمَا كُنَّا, it's past tense, okay? We never were thieves in the past, and keep that in mind. So they make it very clear. They're making this long speech to go and tell everyone that don't worry, there's nothing to worry about with us. But the servants of Yusuf AS are extremely careful. So what they're doing here is, their rule is that if they have people coming from other lands, if they have to judge, they judge according to their lands. Okay, it's only fair because, and it's really interesting because when you come into state lines, right, you go across state lines, you have to follow the state laws, right? In their land, subhanAllah, they made the rule that if you came from another land, all right, we'll judge to whatever state you came from. Okay, so they came from a different country and they'll deal with them accordingly. And this is probably the best way of understanding it, because I couldn't think of any other reason why they would ask them, like, what is your punishment then, right? Or what would be his specific punishment? قالوا فما جزاؤه إن كنتم كاذبين. Or it could have been possibly because, during a time of famine, it only makes sense that, like, you can't follow the normal rules, right? Because people might be stealing and whatever like that. So they made a rule that we follow the foreign countries' laws or whatever it might be. Allah Ta'ala knows best at the end of the day. So they ask them and say, فما جزاؤه إن كنتم كاذبين. So what is the punishment of that person if you are lying? Okay, they go and say if you're lying. And so now the brothers of Yusuf AS, and I want you all to think about this. Okay, so now they're asking them, what is the punishment of this guy? Now, they're already like really good liars. Okay, they've been lying all the time. They're so good at it, right? They got PhDs in lying. Okay, they're so good at lying. So what happens is this: they could lie. They could literally say, his punishment should be that he gets one slap on the hand, or his punishment should be that he returns with his brothers and he comes back the next year and they never come back again. They could have made up anything, but their arrogance is what pushes them to say the Sharia. Okay, which is really funny to me, is that they are so arrogant and so boastful and so sure that nothing happened, that they're going to say قالوا جزاؤه من وجد في رحله فهو جزاؤه. They say it's punishment, and I love the way Mufti Taqi Ismail translated it. He's like, he put it as a question, jaza'u, it's punishment, really? Man wujida fi rahli fa jaza'u. If whoever finds it, whoever it's found in their bags, whoever it's found, the cup is found in their bags, fa jaza'uhu, he will be the punishment. Meaning what? That if it was found in his bag, you can take him. He is the punishment. He is what you will earn at the end. So they're saying basically take him in replacement of the cup being stolen. Now this is the Sharia of Yaqub alayhi salam. Okay, this is what Yaqub alayhi salam's deen was, that if something was found, that person will be kept as a prisoner, as a slave. Okay, he will be made as a slave. Okay, that's how we repay or we punish the wrongdoers. Okay, that's why they said we, because they're saying this is the Sharia of our forefathers, of Yaqub, of Ibrahim, of Ishaq alayhi salam. They're basically saying this is what we've always been doing. Okay, now they're actually speaking honestly. Everything here has been so honest, right? So, and you could even notice, by the way, they're still saying that he didn't steal it if it's found in his possessions. Man wujida fi rahli, not man suriqa fi rahlihi, right? They said that whoever it's found in his possessions, not whatever's been stolen, because they're still not accepting that someone stole anything, which is the proper way of looking at it every single time. فَبَدَأَ بِأَوْعِيَةٍ مِنْ قَبْلِ وِعَاءِ أَخِيهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَخْرَجَ مِنْ وِعَاءِ أَخِيهِ. So then what happens is this, that the servants of Yusuf alayhi salam say, all right, let's go. So they go inside the palace and they take out all the bags, okay? And they say, all right, we're going to start checking the bags. So now they started with their bags before the bags of their brother, okay? So now imagine like 11 bags, okay? And so now all the brothers Yusuf are standing there, the people who are the caravan are standing there, everyone's just standing there waiting for them to just get going. So now they're all watching the bags being inspected. So the biggest brother's bag is being inspected, the second brother's bag is being inspected, the third brother's bag is being inspected, and everyone's coming out clean, right? And everyone's just like, we already knew this, we didn't need to be here, right? And they're like, man, they're looking at their watches, like, this is wasting our time, right? And then finally they take out Binyamin's bag. Binyamin's bag is brought out, and they're like, okay, finally, this is the last bag. We can finally get going home, right? So they're just so happy that they can get home, right? So then what happens is what? They open the bag and they're like, okay, alhamdulillah, they're going to check real quick and we're going to get going. They go inside, right on top is what? They put their hand inside, bam, king's cup. They took it out from the bag of his brother. Now imagine the feeling of the jaw drop, the shame, the embarrassment. Everything comes out at this moment. Like you were like, oh, we're going to go home. And then they see, oh my God, it came out of his bag, And now imagine the feeling of that feeling when you get caught with something, like, you get caught by the cops. I hope no one gets that experience, but basically, you feel like, oh God, like this has become this is a miserable scenario right now. So now they feel it, right? Like their hearts have sunk because they know that this is the same brother who they promised their father that we're going to bring him back. Okay? So now they're really worried here. كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُفَ. Allah Ta'ala says like that, we planned for Yusuf alayhi salam. كَمَا كَانَ لِيَأْخُذَ أَخَاهُ فِي دِينِ الْمَلْكِ إِلَّا يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. And that like that, he could not take his brother. It was not right for him to take his brother in the religion or in the law of the king, إِلَّا يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ, except that if Allah Ta'ala willed. Okay? So what is this trying to tell us here? So Yusuf alayhi salam wanted to keep his brother with him. Okay, he wanted to save him from the stress and grief that he received every single day, and the worry and concern about being attacked or everything from his brothers, right? So now what Yusuf wanted to do was that he wanted to keep his brother with him, but he couldn't because the deen of the king is still there, meaning the laws of the king is still there. Why is that the case? Why didn't Yusuf just change the laws? He could have easily just changed the laws, right? But the reason why he could not change the laws is because this is a time of famine. It's not right to take advantage of the people. And because you just became king, now you're going to change the sharia and things like that. That doesn't work. Okay? So if you accept the fact that Yusuf was a king, then we have to say that Yusuf wanted to change the laws, but he couldn't change it yet. Because obviously right now, if you start like messing around, screwing with the laws, people are going to be like, what the heck, man? A famine is happening. He's like putting out like, hudud laws and punishments and things like that. No one wants to hear that. Okay? That's one way of looking at it. And if you just accepted that Yusuf was a minister, in charge of everyone's belonging, he's in charge of the commerce and economy, then it makes total sense as to why this happened. But again, that's a side point. Allah Ta'ala knows best about the reality. Illa yasha Allah, except that Allah Ta'ala willed it. Okay? So, نَرْفَعْ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, we raise statuses for whoever we want. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. And above everyone who has knowledge is someone who is more knowledgeable. Above every man of knowledge is someone who is more knowledgeable. Let's break this down. Okay? How much did Allah Ta'ala plan for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam? Think about it. Think about how much Allah Ta'ala planned for him. Okay? To bring Binyamin back. Okay? So Allah Ta'ala first allowed him to come back into the door of Yusuf alayhi salam, so Yusuf alayhi salam could meet him the first time ever, right? And then he supplied them all the stuff, whatever. So Yusuf alayhi salam made sure to put their belongings back so they could bring Binyamin with them. If you remember from the beginning, right? Yusuf alayhi salam had to put their items back in their own bags, and then when they went back to their father was told and informed, and then he saw the bags. He's like, oh yes, the king is a truthful king, and so therefore he gave the permission to send Binyamin with them. So Allah Ta'ala made sure that Yusuf placed their belongings back in their brothers' bags. The second thing, Yaqub alayhi salam told them to go through different doors. Like we just spoke about, Yusuf alayhi salam only got the opportunity to speak to Binyamin when his father told him to go through separate doors. So now Yusuf alayhi salam could meet him privately and speak to him, or else he could never get a chance to do it, which is really amazing to me, that Allah Ta'ala made it the case that Yaqub alayhi salam was planning something, but Yusuf alayhi salam, it worked out in the favor of Yusuf alayhi salam's plan. Right? So that's how we saw it here, that they went through separate doors and Yusuf alayhi salam could speak to his brother Binyamin. Okay? Then the third thing that happened was what? Placing the cup in their belongings. Right? So now Yusuf alayhi salam put the cup in their belongings. Now someone asked me this question before. It's like, astaghfirullah, how could Yusuf alayhi salam do something haram? I said, what haram did he do? He's like, oh, he got someone else in trouble and stuff like that. I'm like, no, he didn't. He's like, what are you talking about? He just put his cup in his brother's belongings. Like that's normal. Okay, like if I put my stuff in your bags, that's not a big deal. Okay, now if someone else saw it and started making a big fuss about it, that's their problem. Okay, and so if you noticed from before, like I was trying to make it clear that the announcer just announced himself. The companions of Yusuf tried to clear up the situation. That was all them. Yusuf didn't even have a part in it. He just put something in there. Okay, and so now everyone assumed everything else, and that's from their problems. Okay, that's their fault. So then the announcer calls out, this is also part of Allah's plan. And then the brothers to arrogantly declare the Sharia, which is the biggest part here, because this is the highest variable. Will they say the truth or not? Will they be arrogant enough? Will they be boastful enough to say what Yusuf wants them to say? Right. So this is the most important part here, and Allah made that clear, made that happen. Okay. Now to make the checking not seem suspicious, also the bag of Binyamin was checked last. So Allah made sure that happened as well. So that way no one could ever feel any sort of suspicion that the bag of Binyamin was planted with whatever had to be planted in it. Okay? So everything was made to be as seamless and inconspicuous as possible. Okay? So we're finding, mashallah, that Allah planned out everything. And from the beginning, this was the deep plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the only reason why I'm mentioning all this stuff is because why? Because sometimes what happens in life is that we want something to happen, okay? we're sitting with the meeting, and I'll give like a very simple example that people, sometimes some guys in America go through, right? Or like some girls going through in America, right? They met this guy and they love him so much, and they whatever, astaghfirullah, haram, haram, whatever, right? Or let's just say, mashallah, even halal way, they saw this brother at the MSA and they're like, I really want to get to marry this guy, whatever it might be, right? Whatever. So then they go back to their father and they're like, oh God, I have to tell my father. Okay, they go and say, I have to tell my father that that, like, he's not from the same race, right? He's not a desi, right? And so they'll go and say, Muhammad, like, they have to convince their dad that they have to marry someone who doesn't have like curry on their walls, right? That their house is stained yellow, right? So they have to tell him like, oh, daddy's Arab, like, oh my God, and then that's going to be a heart attack, right? So you're panicking, getting nervous, like, man, there's so many things that could go wrong here, right? So you're sitting down with your dad and you try to speak to your dad and say, Dad, Abuji, I have something to tell you, and you're hoping that the right words come out of your mouth, and then you're making dua that the right words come out of his mouth, and then everything works out really well, right? There's like the feeling of your heart coming up to your throat because you're so nervous, right? So this is the feeling of what Yusuf AS was going through, okay? In a way, in a sense. Because although he is speaking the right thing, he's doing the right thing, so many things go wrong. Look how many variables are there, right? Look how many variables are there. The brothers could have never came back, right? Yaqub AS could have never told him to go to different doors. The cup, maybe if Yusuf AS didn't place it in the belongings, he took a different route, might have not ended up with the same situation, right? The announcer might have not called out. The brothers might have not said anything about the Sharia and could have just told a straight up lie, right? The checking could have been suspicious, right? Allah Ta'ala knows. But Allah Ta'ala planned everything to go the exact right way it was supposed to go, okay? And sometimes we'll find that to be on our own lives, all right? So now, why are we mentioning all this stuff? Because I want everyone to be clear and understand that Allah Ta'ala plans out everything for our lives like this too, okay? Certain things just work out in a certain way. You'll notice it when you're a kid, when you're like 1-year-old child will fall, and you notice that, subhanallah, like he was about to fall and he put his head onto the corner of the table, but Allah Ta'ala moved it just ever so slightly that it dodged the corner of the table. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is so deep that he makes sure to save your child, and you're just like thinking in your head, wow, that could have just went miserable right now. Things could have went way wrong, right? Same thing with marriages, with visas, with jobs, with everything in life. There's like a certain subtle planning Allah Ta'ala does that if it doesn't go this way, then everything will malfunction and everything will go wrong. But Allah Ta'ala plans everything, okay? Now, where is Allah Ta'ala in this situation? He's not there, okay? He's planning everything from behind the scenes. Yusuf AS is doing everything, okay? Yusuf AS is doing everything. Now, many of the ulama have said, very beautifully and very famously, that they said that Allah Ta'ala planned and inspired Yusuf AS to do this, okay? And I want everyone to know that it's possible that Allah Ta'ala inspired him right there, but I feel personally, based on where the situation, where the story has come from, I feel personally that Yusuf AS actually was taught this from the beginning, okay? What does that mean? It means that Yusuf AS was taught how to interpret speech, okay? And the word ahadith also is used for haditha, which is learning how to interpret events, okay? Yusuf AS did not speak a single word throughout this entire situation. This is the entire situation he's seeing in front of him. He has not said a single word. But what has Yusuf AS done? He has interpreted the event in the best possible way to get the exact solution that he wanted it, okay? So he has mastered how to interpret speech. He has mastered that I can just do this, and I know this person will do this, and I know this person will do this, okay? He has mastered it, mashallah. He has developed beyond the PhD on the idea and the notion of how human beings work. He's completely the psychologist of people, mashallah, okay? And I wanted that to be clear because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure to mention at the end of the ayah, وَنَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ. We raise statuses to whoever we want. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. The status that Yusuf attained was only through knowledge, okay? The more people learn and study and practice Islam and learn more even afterwards, right? Then they'll find that Allah will raise their statuses. When Allah teaches, if you remember from Ibrahim alayhi story we talked about yesterday, that Allah taught him the right plan or the right method of giving da'wah to his people, and Allah raised his status. Similarly, we found for Yusuf alayhi Allah raises this status here. Similarly, for Adam alayhi from the beginning, Allah raised his status through knowledge. This is all because of knowledge, right? So now we're learning, mashallah, just because of the knowledge that Yusuf learned, he was able to make this amazing plan come into fruition, mashallah, okay? But again, if Allah is not there, everything will malfunction and everything will go wrong. And Allah reminds us that وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ, that above everyone is someone more knowledgeable. At the end of the ayah, what did the announcer understand? What did the companions of Yusuf AS understand? What did his servants understand? They didn't understand anything. They're not understanding what's happening behind the scenes, right? This is a family matter. Yusuf AS is dealing with his family right here. Okay? They have no idea about what situation they're causing the brothers to get into. They have no idea about what Yusuf AS is planning, right? You know, the one who has more knowledge about the situation is the family. This is an internal family affair here. Okay? The brothers thought they were so smart. Well, we're finding here, the brothers thought they were so smart, and here they're being outsmarted. And Yusuf a.s. we thought was unbelievably smart too, because I just told you about how intelligent he was. But even then, if Allah Ta'ala doesn't allow it, it's never going to happen. So we're finding that people always think they're so smart, but they have to remember that someone is bigger than them, someone is more knowledgeable than them. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. That's why the scholars have said that above everyone who has knowledge is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala has the most knowledge, and Allah Ta'ala will decide if plans will work out or they'll fail and they'll go wrong, right? Allah Ta'ala will decide things at the end, right? So mashallah, we're learning so much from this one little small little snippet, that we have to make sure that when we are making these plans, we're sitting in a meeting, we're hoping that the right words come out, the right people's mouths, whatever. We have to make dua to Allah, Allah to make the right words come out. Okay? So now the brothers should have learned a lesson from here. That dang, we screwed up, and now our brother is being caught, and we're like whatever, right? But the brothers are still being adamant, and they're still being arrogant. How so? So then they calmed down, they relaxed. So the brothers came together and they said, you know, if he stole, فَقَدْ سَرَقَ أَخٌ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. He has a brother who stole from before, right? فَأَسَرَّهَا يُوسُفْ فِي نَفْسِهِ وَلَمْ يُبْدِهَا لَهُم. Yusuf a.s. hears this knowledge, this garbar, this bakwasi nonsense, right? He hears that they said that he has a brother that stole from before. They're clearly saying that his brother Yusuf stole from before, and then he was killed or whatever, okay? So they're basically saying that Yusuf a.s. was a bad guy, and Binyamin is a bad guy. Astaghfirullah azim, right? فَصَرَّهَا Yusuf, and now who are they saying this in front of? Sayyidina Yusuf a.s. himself. He's sitting on the palace, he's sitting on the throne, and he's listening to them say what? Oh, king, you know, if this guy stole, he just had a brother that stole from before. Why are they saying this? Because they just told everyone that we weren't thieves. We never stole. So you had to make it clear that it's not us, it's him. His mother was a bad mother and he had a bad son. It was Yusuf, and he's just like his brother. It runs in the family, okay? So they're trying to save their own family's name by throwing Yusuf's name under the bus again. فَأَصَرَّهَا يُوسُفُ فِي نَفْسِهِ. So Yusuf is listening to this, and not a single expression, you know, in this moment, you and I would explode and become so angry. But you can imagine the entire plan that Yusuf made, it could have been destroyed at this moment. Yusuf sits there, and he smiles and he listens, and doesn't show a single frown, a single, like, you know, his eyebrow doesn't even move to show any sign of frustration or anger. Yusuf remains completely firm and calm, and he just hides it in himself. He conceals it in himself. That's why Allah makes it clear. He didn't reveal it to them at all. At all, Yusuf did not show them that I was upset. He said, you are the worst. You are in the worst position. The worst position. You're talking about stealing a cup. You're talking about stealing like one or two belongings. You stole someone's son. After taking the son, you threw him in a well. You were hoping for him to die. You guys are even worse than me. And then you're talking like you're so big. Okay? So mashallah, we're learning a lot of things here. Yusuf alayhi salam, you know, we have to appreciate his character. We have to love his character here. You know, like subhanallah, when he was inside the jail and the cupbearer came to him and told him, hey, Yusuf, my good buddy, can you tell me about the dream? Yusuf alayhi salam was such a good guy that he interpreted the dream for him, right? That's what we learned from that, mashallah. That's one place. But look at here, that someone's accusing his character and telling him that he is a thief. And at that moment, he goes and, you know, he doesn't show any type of emotion or frustration. He remains completely calm, right? He doesn't get upset. This is Yusuf alayhi salam's amazing character here. And this is after Allah's plan. That Allah just planned for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam this entire thing, right? This entire thing that happened was because of Allah's plan. Even after the planning, sometimes the test will come. Remember that. That sometimes we got it through. Our father, he has accepted the marriage and he's like, yeah, I'm happy with it. You can marry him, whatever. Then we're going to see that we had to do this non-sunnah wedding and all this nonsense. All these tests will come from Allah Ta'ala. These things will just happen. You get the visa approved, then you come to America and all these things still go wrong, right? The things just may not work out the best way. Because why? Because Allah will still test people and He'll still test you. Are you grateful for the plan that I gave you? Then let's see how you pass the test or not. Okay? So you have to be very careful. Sometimes it's important to be clear. And other times it may be better to wait for a better chance. Why is that clear? Why is that important here? Because Yusuf alayhi salam with Zulaykha, he made it clear that look, I didn't do anything, she did everything. Okay? And he made it very clear from the beginning. Here Yusuf AS decides to wait. He could have made it clear that it's not me, it's not Binyamin or whatever, but he decides to wait because he knows the opportunity will come out later. Okay? The defense mechanism of speaking to yourself to keep cool, Yusuf AS spoke to himself and he calmed himself down. Okay? That's what people need to do, because what happens is what? Your mind is your fortress. Okay? Your mind is your shield. You can do whatever you want in your brain. Okay? You can scream at people, you can yell at the committee, you can do whatever, right? You can yell everything in your head. Okay? You can get upset at people and frustrated with everyone in your mind. That's completely fine. Keep yourself cool. Okay? But he doesn't go and expose it to everyone. He goes in his mind, in his heart, he goes and says, you guys are the worst. Okay? He's not telling anyone, but you can imagine in his head, he's shouting at them and yelling at them. That's what you and I need to do. Sometimes we forget that, as you know, if we just keep our mouths shut, right, then nothing will happen. But we end up opening our mouths and exploding in front of people, whereas we could have just exploded in our brains and that would have been completely fine. And you will find yourself to be very comfortable. Trust me, as a defense mechanism, this is my favorite one because I use it quite often, dealing with people that sometimes you just get so angry and upset. The best thing just to do is what? Just yell at them in your head. You're the master of your brain, right? You can do whatever you want. So just yell at them in your mind and keep yourself cool. And then if you do that, number one. Number two, what you need to remember is then speak to Allah and remind yourself that Allah will judge, okay? That I don't have to do anything. I don't have to lift a finger. My Allah has planned so many things in my life. Allah will plan this too, and Allah will judge. I don't have to do anything. I can be upset in my head, and Allah will still make sure, inshallah, to take care of the situation because Allah is just. I don't have anything to worry about here. Okay? So now the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they continue. After saying that, oh, by the way, Yusuf alayhi salam stole from before. قَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا الْعَزِيزُ إِنَّ لَهُ أَبًا شَيْخًا كَبِيرًا. They say, oh minister, surely he has a father, a very old sheikh, right? They say he has a very kabir, sheikhi, abi, right? He has a very old sheikh father, okay? So they're saying he's a very respectful man and he's a really old guy. Like, oh minister, okay? Oh Aziz, oh beloved minister. But he has a very, very old father, okay? فَخُذْ أَحَدَنَا, please just take one of us instead of his makanahu, in his place. إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, right? This is when they start like, massaging his feet and like, oiling his head, whatever, like really getting all the trying to be as smooth as they can, right? To talk him into it. Oh minister, oh beloved minister, oh amazing minister. His father's really old. He can't take care of himself. He needs his young son Binyamin to help him. So please, oh please minister, please just take one of us in his place. We see you as a really good guy, right? You are a really generous person. You're really kind. We see you to do the best. Okay? They're really putting on all the tail, right? They're just trying to soften this guy up, put on all the duhn as they can, They try to be as smooth, and they always been using their tongues. They always have been using their tongues to get them out of situations. So they're thinking their tongue will help them out here. But Yusuf is not having it. They go and say that, look, we seek refuge in Allah from taking anyone other than him, right? Except taking other than the one that we found our stuff with him, okay? Inna idha la-zalimun, we'd be unjust, okay? Yusuf alayhi salam is hearing this amazing speech from them. He's not buying it. He takes refuge with Allah. He took it with Zulaykha one time when she tried to accuse him of tried to make him commit a crime. And over here, that when someone tried to tell him not to implement the command of Allah, they said, don't do it, O Yusuf. And he said, look, that's dhulm, that's haram. I can't. If Allah said something, I gotta do it. Okay, this is what we need to remember, that if someone does something wrong and thinks that it's okay, but while disrespecting the Sharia of Allah, that's never acceptable. Keep in mind, Yusuf didn't do a single thing against Allah's deen throughout this entire situation. And he's not going to do something right now either. Okay, which is why we have to remember that helping people has limits. If you get into a situation where it involves disobeying Allah or disobeying Allah's commands, then you're not allowed to do it anymore. You can't help that person, because how can you help someone when you disrespected or disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If all the help comes from Allah, no matter what help you can give them right now immediately, there's no way in Allah ta'ala's world that this person will get away with it, because the ones who do wrong will never find success. Okay? So Yusuf alayhi salam does not accuse his brothers of theft, by the way. He just says if we find it with him, we have to take him, He's not going to say Binyamin stole, because he's being careful with the speech as well. You got to appreciate it, mashallah. Every single step of the way, Yusuf alayhi salam's tongue is always in control. Always in control. Okay? Allah Ta'ala says when they lost complete hope in him, they went aside for consultation. The oldest of them said, Alam ta'lamu anna abakum qad akhadha alaykum mawthiqan min Allah. Don't you know that your father has taken a pledge from you in the name of Allah? And you had defaulted, you had screwed up earlier. Ma farrattum fi Yusuf. You messed up from before, with Yusuf before. Then he said, I will never leave this land. Hatta ya'dhana li abi, until my father lets me.
أو يحكم الله لي, or Allah Ta'ala wills it for me or decides it for me. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ, Allah is the best of all judges. Okay. Now we're looking at this consultation. This is the second time they met, right? Remember from the beginning when they met with their to decide what to do with Yusuf alayhi salam. This is the second meeting that they're having. Okay. So they go for another meeting, and the eldest brother is not having it. The kabiruhum is not having it. Okay, the strength to continue here comes from our elders. Why is this important? Because the eldest brother being mentioned is why? Because the brother is always looking up to the oldest brother. Like he's the guy who will decide everything. And I think oldest brothers or eldest brothers forget this point, that they don't realize that their words have such a say on the siblings. Okay, they respect him a lot and they expect a lot of things from him. Okay. And so the oldest child will also have the deepest connection with the parents because he's been there the longest. That's just how it is. Me being a second son can obviously acknowledge that reality. The parents just will have a certain love for the oldest son, and that's completely fine. I ain't going to knock it, not going to fight it, okay? But this is what we're learning from the Quran too, that he wants to make sure his dad is happy with him, so he's not willing to leave the earth now. He's not willing to leave Egypt anymore because he wants to make sure his dad is happy, okay? And so now their team resolve is weakening. You can see now that their leader, the oldest brother, the team leader here is saying, I don't want to be involved with this anymore. You guys go ahead, deal with it. I'm not going there anymore. Okay? So this is the first time in the story, and you can imagine the amount of frustration, sadness, and grief that they're going through. The first time they're experiencing not getting their way. They're not getting their way. Every single time the words could work. They convinced their father, they convinced the minister, they convinced these people and that people. This is the first time the words aren't doing anything. Okay? Because Allah's plan is too strong. They're trying to plan against Allah. Can you do that? That's impossible. So nothing is seeming to work here. Allah plans and they plan. Allah is the best of all planners. Okay? What is Allah teaching them here? This is the manifestation of the disease of their hearts. Okay? The disease of their hearts from the beginning was jealousy, of hatred, of malice, right? The jealousy is now exhibiting its bad symptoms. Okay? So what happens is what? The jealous person in the beginning, the jealous person will get what they want in a certain way, whatever it might be. Might be nazar, might be ayn, might be sihr, might be jadoo, might be whatever, right? They'll experience their happiness for a short amount of time, but then they'll feel the gut-wrenching, the heart-tearing, the worst feelings ever because of their jealousy. Anger, frustration, shame. I can't even go back to my dad now. Guilt that, man, we did this to Yusuf from before and now it's happening to Binyamin now. Like they're feeling everything and they'll feel like whatever they did to that person that they were jealous of, it'll happen to them too. Okay? So whatever jealousy we had against someone else will come back to us at the end. All right? So they lost unity too, lost control, and they're just feeling lost. Because jealousy at the end will only lead to loss. And that's the lesson that they're learning here. Yusuf AS wanted to make it very clear that the jealous person will not get what they want at the end. It's just not possible because that sickness is too wicked and disgusting. There are no good fruits that come out of the tree of jealousy. It'll never come out. Okay? So, but look at this one thing at the end of the speech of the brother. Okay? And mashallah, I just love the Quran, the way it's so subtle with certain things. Okay? The brother at the end of it says, he says, يَحْكُمَ اللَّهُ لِي وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ. This is the first time they're speaking about Allah. The first time they're ever talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah that will decide something for me. And He is the best of those judges, okay? He's the best of all judges. They say this at the end, and you can see, mashallah, that something is changing in them. Now they're speaking about Allah. Something is happening here. And it'll come out, inshallah, when we speak about it in the next time. So now he goes and gives them a plan. He goes and says, go back to your father and tell them, oh, father, this so-and-so, your son, he stole. And we didn't witness except that what we know. وَمَا كُنَّا لِلْغَيْبِ حَافِظِينَ. That we can't testify whatever except for that which we know, and we don't guard against the unseen. We can't be guards against it. We can't protect against things from the unseen realm, right? Things that we don't know. Okay, and then they say, Dad, just ask the entire town in which we were in, and ask the caravan that which you came from. We are telling the truth. Okay, we are telling the truth. It goes directly into the part when they're speaking to their dad now. So they're in front of Yaqub alayhi salam telling him, Dad, just ask anyone. We are definitely speaking the truth here. قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. He is not taking anything. He's like, my God, this is the second time you're doing this. You did this with one brother before. Now you're doing this with another brother. They said, look, your souls have deceived you again. They've made something very beautiful again. You're lying again. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. He says, look, I'll be patient. Allah Ta'ala will possibly bring all of them together to me, right? He'll probably bring them all together and bring them to me. وَهُوَ إِنَّهُ لَهُوَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. I trust Allah that He's Alim and He's Hakim. Okay? This is like the story of the boy who cried wolf, right? It's like the worst, right? The boy who cried wolf is what? He lies and lies and lies and lies about a wolf actually being there. So everyone goes and checks on it, and they say you're just a liar. And then finally, when the wolf comes, and the last time, the boy runs out to the town, tells everyone that the wolf has come to eat the sheep, and no one believes him. Okay? So this is the time where we're recognizing that they're telling the truth. Everything's literally the truth now. But they know his dad will not buy it because the believer is not bit from the same hole twice. He's not accepting anything that they're saying now. Okay? So now what we're looking at Yaqub alayhi salam, the last final points inshallah ta'ala, that look, Yaqub alayhi salam has gone through a lot in his life. 20, 30 years of not finding his one son Yusuf. Now losing another son Binyamin. Now losing a third son, his eldest son. Okay? And so now he's going through grief and another grief and another grief. Okay? So that's what happens in our life as well sometimes, where we find that the grief is not ending. Okay, sometimes something even worse will happen. Sometimes you lose a job, then something will lose this, and then this will happen, and it feels like the entire world is crashing on us. Okay, and I can imagine that was something similar to what Yaqub alayhi salam was feeling. Now the entire world is crashing around him, but subhanAllah, his heart is so strong that his heart is not willing to bend or budge. Okay, so he's still saying at the end that it's always darkest before dawn. He's still trusting that what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help him. He has not lost his hope. He says, perhaps Allah will bring all of them to me. He hasn't lost hope even at these dark times. That's what you and I need to do. We often just come into our corners and just go into our fetal position and pretend like the entire world is coming against us and we don't want to do anything. Yaqub alayhi salam was not like that. He stays firm and strong. He says, you know what? Allah Ta'ala can still make a way out of this. He can bring everyone back. Okay? And so now you see his grief. It goes and says that he would turn away from them and he would go and cry and say, oh, how sad I am about Yusuf. And we'll talk about this part tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. But you know, his grief and sadness will come out for Kalim, right? And he's crying and crying and crying till his eyes become blind. Okay? So inshallah we'll speak about this next time. We ask Allah for tawfiq, inshallah. The next part will be the scene 4 or 5, inshallah. And then we'll hope to finish right near the end, and we'll hope to get more lessons, inshallah ta'ala. And then finally to the last scene where Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers finally meet for the 3rd time. And then Yusuf, he finally reveals everything and makes it clear what's the result of jealousy. But we'll do that inshallah next time. I hope everyone inshallah benefited and learned some lessons. Jazakumullah khairah. May Allah give us all tawfiq and allow us inshallah to the dark times that we do 2 things inshallah. That number 1 is that we remember to send salawat on the Prophet because that helps. It really does. And read Surah Yusuf because it will help you during the grief and the sadness that we experience by reading Surah Yusuf inshallah ta'ala. May Allah give us all tawfiq. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.